My name is Sandra, and I'm a mom of three, two girls and a boy, and I'm married to a Ghanaian. Yeah, we've been married for, this month will be 14 years.
So my name is Kay, and I am a mom of 4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls. I'm married to a Ghanaian. We've been married for 12 years now. So,
And I'm Nkwazi, and I'm from South Africa. I'm married to a Ghanaian, and we have 3 kids, 2 girls and 1 boy.
My name's Ashley. I am married to a Ghanaian. We've been married for 15, almost 16 years.
Okay.
Mine.
Go, Ashley.
I have a daughter and I have a son.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, thank you all for coming. Today we're just going to talk about motherhood, the challenges, how we were brought up, back in the 80s. Quasi, you were in the 90s. Okay, so 80s and 90s and how things have changed over time, with AI and all that, with social media. So how was, I guess we can start with how we grew up. How was, growing up? Where did you grow up? Because I know, we all we are coming from different backgrounds. So how was the growing up, and then how was parenting so far, motherhood?
I guess I can start because I already said my background in I'm from South Africa. So I grew up in a small town in South Africa. It's more like a farm, I would say. We literally had one lights, like traffic lights, for the whole city.
Oh, wow.
One. And and that was even that wasn't there when I was born. It was there in 7th grade. So it was a really small town. I went to a mixed school. But the way my parents raised me, I think that's where the conversation is more so. My parents raised me very sheltered. My parents, we went to a Pentecostal church, and where we couldn't even wear pants.
Okay.
We wore dresses, going to church. When I get home, I lock the door. Very, very sheltered upbringing. As small as that town was, it was even smaller for me.
Okay.
So for me to even be here in America, has been so 1,000 doors I guess 1,000 doors opening for me leading here. So that's how I was raised. My parents were I raised in a Christian background. My dad wasn't didn't go to church, but my mom's faith was very strong, and so she raised us that way. And I was the last born out of.
Okay, so you're the spoiled one.
I was kind of spoiled, I didn't see it,
right.
But I'll accept it now because
Right.
I know it happens. After raising kids, I can see that it happens as the only girl. Yeah. So that's my little background story.
Okay. Who wants to go next, Kezia or Ashley?
I can chime in. So I grew up in Richmond, Virginia, more so the suburbs of Richmond, Virginia, so Short Pump area. And it was pretty much predominantly white. Different from where I was initially born in downtown, Richmond, Virginia, where it's very urban.
Okay.
I was pretty much on the border between the country, is what we call it. A lot of farms. I went to a country school. Not school, country church. Attended Baptist church.
Okay.
We're about 15 minutes away from house. I would say I have a younger sister, younger brother, and we pretty much, I would say because it was a predominantly white area, we kind of had to find ways to express ourselves.
What did you say, Ashley?
We had to explore ways of expressing ourselves because we also live really far off the road, so we didn't have the typical subdivision, picket fence environment to thrive in.
Okay.
So my mom would get us involved in dance, sports, whenever she could. And we also, I would say probably because of the whole adversity of living in a predominantly white area, you had to work harder, which
Right.
I instill this in my kids today.
Yeah.
That you have, unfortunately, you have to work twice
Harder.
as much to get half of what
Yeah.
a white person would get.
Yeah.
So, in a way, that's been kind of it may impact them a little differently that in school, in their schoolwork, that their teachers and where they are now, they don't understand it in a way that, it's developed like a perfectionism
Right.
kind of.
I see what you mean. I see what you mean. So what you're saying is that you kind of, because of the way that you also grew up, like being around a lot of white people, it causes you to strive for this perfectionism. And then so you end up doing the same thing to your children, like having those expectations of them to be like an all-rounded student, like all A's type of kid. You have to be in dance, you have to be in swimming, you have to be in all of this. Like, is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying?
I'm trying to instill that in, but it's kind of hard with this generation that they don't, they kind of want things handed to them. They want that instant gratification. So it's kind of hard for them to see what the end result would be if you focus.
You don't.
And you work hard. You don't focus all on the outside things.
Right.
But it's really hard to do that because
they're
so
so
many
young.
environmental distractions.
Right.
Compared
And
to
that
when we
they're
were
still
growing
young.
out.
Yeah.
We didn't have internet. We didn't have cable.
Right. The internet. Yep. That's a whole new conversation.
We all have to come back to the internet because that's
Internet started it all.
So I didn't have the luxury of growing up with living with my parents when I was little. I grew up living with my aunt in the city, in part of Accra in Ghana.
okay.
Growing up, it was about 7 kids in the family. But then where I lived, it was more like community focused. Like everybody knew everybody in the neighborhood. Like every neighbor looked out for each other. You could get out of the house, go play. You walk like 2-3 miles to get to school. And, we don't have the luxury. You talk about internet. We didn't have the luxury of getting dropped off or getting on the school bus or none of that stuff. So, it was... I enjoyed it back then, but looking back, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I wasn't so fortunate. But
I know.
but in that
The
time,
little beginnings,
right. In that time, I actually enjoyed it. Walking to school with your friends, having the conversations, walking out miles to go to school, and you even felt safe even walking to school because, like I said, everybody knew everybody in the neighborhood. Like you're not gonna get kidnapped or you don't even think about getting nothing happening to you because you feel safe. Because everybody knew you, everybody, looking back, actually appreciate it. Because, my kids now, they have to get on the school bus or get dropped off. They don't really have the freedom to, move around. Because I feel like sometimes we just shelter them so much with everything going on with, kidnapping and shooting and stabbing and all the, this stuff. We didn't have that back then where I grew up.
Yes,
so
true.
It's kind of different. Sometimes I feel like I'm being too hard on them, but then it's like, where do you draw the line? Because sometimes if you fall back a little bit, you don't know what's going to happen. With the social media, like we were talking about upstairs, even all 3 kids have phones now, and it's kind of hard to kind of like draw the line again because
you've already given them access.
Right, you're giving them. They have access to the whole world, like right on their apps and everything that they go on that little phone. Yeah. So it's kind of, it's a little bit of a challenge trying to kind of like protect them at the same time. You want them to have like a little bit of freedom and kind of like navigate life and, experience that for themselves. It's really hard.
Yep.
But yeah.
Oh my goodness. That just got me thinking, right, Kezia, of a story that they were saying, how will our kids end up looking like. They showed where there were parents at a park, and as you guys know, in America, like you as a parent, you go there and you play with your child. And we if the child like bumps onto another one, oh, say sorry, honey, say sorry. Oh, like, I'm sorry. Like, we literally are there so close to the child. We don't give them the freedom to be children and to like bump another child and learn if they should apologize on their own. I think that we are doing that. We are as parents. I don't know why now all of a sudden, like, we don't allow children to be children when it comes to, like, for example, a child walks up to like a stranger and you're like, oh, go hug auntie. And the child doesn't want to. And like, you're like, no, say hi to auntie. Like, I mean, yes, we have to find the balance, right? Of like, we're trying to teach them to respect adults, but also, like, if you don't feel comfortable saying hi to auntie, maybe auntie did something to the child. We don't know, like, why the child is not going to the auntie. So it's like, it does, we never know if we're doing the right thing.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the protection that we give to our kids stems from, fear of what we hear about and, what we see lately now. So it's like, I really want to protect you. I don't want, anything bad to happen to you. Mm-hmm. And then, it just gets hard. And but you also, it's hard because you also want them to be independent, but then it's like, no, I'm going to protect you. But, so it's just, really, we can never tell. I guess they're going to have to grow up and we'll figure out, did I really do a good job? Because, I feel like my kids are going to grow up and they're always going to be calling me like, Mommy, how do I do this? How do I do it? Because sometimes I just end up doing everything for them because I'm like, you know what? I don't want you to get in trouble. I'm going to do it. Just relax. And
I'll write the homework. I'll do this part. I'll write with my left hand. Like sometimes
you do for real?
Oh my gosh. Like sometimes, I mean, like not all the time, but like there's been times. Yeah, there's been times like I'm checking the homework. Maybe it's like late at night or something. And then, maybe I see something wrong or like,
I'll do it.
Like, okay, I'm gonna wake up the child.
That's a mommy confession right there.
I can wake up the mom. I can wake them up and be like, okay. So then I'll just like use my left hand and just like, hey.
So
but I haven't done my introduction though.
Oh yeah, you will. Yeah. I just have one story. So
You also have a confession, a mommy confession.
Yeah, mommy confession.
I know. Some funny thing that Jason tells me. So I'm trying to teach him his homework, right, in math. And then I'm like, do it this way. And he's like, that's the Ghana way. I want the American way. I'm like, I don't know the American way.
Yeah, like I don't. I didn't school here.
So here they have like 5 ways to solve like a simple question. I'm like, okay, I know the Ghana way. Do you want the Ghana way or you want the American way?
As long as you get it correct. No, but it confuses them because when they go back to school.
So sometimes I do it the Ghana way and then he still gets it wrong because they're like, like how'd you do it? The method is not right. And I'm like, they specify, use this method. And I'm like, I don't know this method. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, Mommy, it's not the Ghana way. I'm like, that's the way I know.
And some of the teacher, I think like every teacher too is different though.
Yeah.
Is the Ghana way faster?
You never know. I mean, it's always something different. Like I know because I also go through that. Like I'll teach her the way I did. Like for example, like what is it? Let's for example what multiplications when you have more than 2, 3, numbers. So so bringing the other two down. Division is division where you draw the division line and then you minus and you bring the 2 down. So I'm teaching her my method. It's like,
you have a method too.
She's like, no, it's easier if you just do it at the
this
top. I'm like,
way. But at the time, do you understand? That's the thing. Like,
but sometimes they come home and they need you to, like, let's say they get it wrong a couple of times. So now you do need to intervene and actually teach them. And I always sometimes find myself thinking that my method is better.
That's what I think too. I'm like,
is it?
Right.
I'm used to it. So that's the kind that I know. That's the kind that I
grew up. Easier for me.
But then they want it the American way, and I'm like, but I don't know that. You know?
Yeah.
But thank God Jason is going to grow up, so he's going to trickle that down to his.
That's me too, because it's only my eldest that I go through that, and then with the younger ones, it doesn't. She hasn't really. It's been the older one.
Yeah. Oh,
And,
introduce yourself. Sorry.
That was a long introduction.
That was a long one.
Yeah.
Okay. So wait, I even lost my train of thoughts. But anyways, I grew up in Ghana as well, just like Kezia, and my dad died earlier on, like very early. Like I was little when he passed, so it was mostly my mom and then us. So, and my mom is like, I grew up in a household where both of my parents were teachers, and my grandparents, both of them were teachers as well. So they're like, things have to be done a certain way, like there's no day you can't just say you're not going to school. After school, when my friends are playing, I have to learn. It's like, but I think even though at that time I was like, I'm so unfortunate, but it kind of it helped me develop a certain, character. Like it helped me. I feel like it helped me in some way.
Yeah.
Very strict. My mom was very strict back then. I guess it's because she felt like she had to do her job, and then my dad, who wasn't there. So she was, a Christian, always taking us to church. I remember like late nights we would go to church, like we would be crying because we were sleepy, but she does not mind. Like she would go to church. Like she's not like the Sunday type. She would go to church, Monday evenings, Wednesday, whenever they have programs, and then we'd be sleepy, but we still follow it. But I think now that I'm a little older, I get to understand, it was instilling a certain character in us, like learning to go to the house of the Lord with your kids. Like, she didn't want to go, and then we were there because she's like, I can't even pray because I'm thinking, what if something happened to you guys? I would rather have you here with me, even if you're sleeping on the floor or something, But I think, she's a very devout woman, always praying. Like, even when we are sleeping, it's like, come on, we are sleeping. And then she like praying and disturb me, like, really? And but all that, I think now that I'm older, I have come to appreciate, those things. Certain luxuries we didn't get, but I think even though my dad was not around, I would still say that God has been good, because I got to, certain things just came, like he opened certain doors. But grateful for the experience. I think God just wanted it this way. But here I am, So I had a very humble background. God opened doors as, things, just fell into place. Like, just some way, somehow. But that's mine.
Was that common in Ghana, like back then? I don't know if this is a silly question, but was that common, like for maybe my parents didn't have that like education, like my parents didn't finish their schooling and stuff like that back then. Like it was like if you got up to 7th grade, that was amazing. And then sometimes some people went into nursing or whatever the case might be. So my parents didn't have a profession like a nurse or whatever the case might be. Was that common in Ghana, like for people to have like professions? Like,
I wouldn't say it's common, but then it depends on every household. It depends on maybe it depends on, because my mom, her parents were teachers, right? But even with my mom, my dad was more educated. Like he was teaching, even though he was teaching like older kids. And then I'm sure like if he was here today, he would have been like a professor or something. Like he was higher up, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know if I would say it's common, but I think every household is different. It just goes down to generations, like what the grandparents were doing, some along those lines.
I was just thinking about that. I'm like, maybe this is my only thing, because I was like, my parents. My dad was like a data, I guess he was a land surveyor, but my mom really didn't really have like she was working at a local textile, and like. What I remember is that, my parents, my dad would travel. My dad would travel every weekend and then he'd come back. I mean, he would travel during the week and then he would come back on Fridays. But like, it didn't feel like that. I felt like he was always there. I feel like it was always there. It was because he was a very present person. Like when he's there, he doesn't, he doesn't want us to be out there. Like I'm always with them. I'm chatting with him. And so like even when, so my parents, like I talk very openly with them, but so that's what has helped me with my children. Like with my children, I don't necessarily, I'm very strict and I have those like.
You strict?
You
don't look like that strict type.
I
You look like the more relaxed, more like playful mom.
So I'm both.
Okay, you get to
and that's funny because I'm both.
But see, with me, sometimes I find myself on the stricter side. But then I'm like, I can't even blame myself because like, it's like, got to do this, this has to be right. This has to, even though like you can find that most people with like military background are like, but then they don't realize that people who have like, teachers, it's like, they're similar with,
It's the same.
I think so. It's just like not maybe like, punctuality. I don't know, it's the
professional. It's the perfectionism.
I guess that's what it is. Yeah, I guess that's what it is.
And it's a character build thing.
Yeah, and then it helps you. It helps you. I remember one thing I love about my when I remember, I think I was in I think it would be not elementary, middle school. My middle school ages where like we would go to the library and like find books and like among my friends, like we were like, okay, let's see who would read this first. Like I think back to those days, I'm like, oh, this is great, and this is something I want my kids to. I want to teach my kids, like to love. Like you go to the library too. It wasn't like here that you can just drive. You walk. Like kids just say, like we walk. We used to walk like miles, just to get there, and then we didn't fear anybody doing any harm to us or anything. We just like it was just like it was safe. Yeah.
Though it wasn't really safe.
It was safe though because nothing happened to anybody.
It was. But then, do you think it was 100% safe?
It was 100%.
It was 100%.
Nothing happened to us.
You probably
there were no rapists back then.
But then nobody in my area got raped though, unless the kids that wanted to do stuff like you get you.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like the dangerous. Like,
no, it's not. It wasn't dangerous. No. It was not.
Which part of Ghana? Accra.
That's someone.
I mean, you walk miles, but then everybody that you run into, you probably know. You know them.
You know them.
Robberies?
Robberies where? Where? Like what are you coming to rob? Definitely.
You get robbed.
There was a lot of
like the kids, but then we'll get robbed of things or like not people though.
Everything that I've mentioned.
Really?
Yes. Like there's always for the even so. I think that's why my parents were so like sheltered because they were those situations. Because and it's not. I'm not saying like it was all bad people, but unfortunately, with unemployment. People will tend to go to robbery, and it's not, and they're not gonna go far. They can't. They don't have money to go to catch a bus and go rob, in town. So they'll rob us. It was American like that
too. Like how safe was it when you were growing up?
You can just walk in the mall, and like my mom would go to it was called Hex back in the day.
Yeah.
We've heard about now Macy's, but
now
basically
Macy's.
She would just go do her thing, and then we would be like, okay, an hour and a half, come back to the store, and then me and my sister just go walking around.
And it was safe, right?
Shopping.
It was good, yeah.
No issues, not at all. Yeah.
I think back then it was safer. Like,
it was safer, but what I'm trying to say is
there were still bad guys.
Still some.
Well, not in my area though. I didn't experience
where I grew up.
No. Because I used to walk to school too, just like Kayla was saying.
I used to walk to school. I used to walk to the market by myself.
Yeah.
Go buy stuff by myself.
Yeah, when we were little.
That's interesting. Yeah, because even though it never happened to me, because where would it happen? My parents literally would fetch me from every place, but I still know of.
They had a car to pick you up.
Yeah, not a car, but they would.
Okay, but they would find a way to come get you.
No, they had cars. My parents had their own cars, so they just make sure that I'm picked up or whatever.
Okay, maybe that's why. But see, back then, like I didn't. There was no car for me.
It was the
though.
90s, yeah.
There was no car for me. I used to walk with my friends. Like after school, we would walk miles Like, and then
Yeah.
like miles, you know.
And mostly you're in groups. So when you get to your house, you just veer off and go home.
Yeah.
And then, it's like that. And so by the time you get home, you buy yourself.
Yeah, then the
Right.
other people
So it was really
continue.
safe because there's a lot of you. Like who's gonna kidnap all of
And
you?
then it was
You know
like
what
a
I'm saying?
mixture
That's
of
gonna be-
boys and girls too, right? Like your whole group.
Yeah, you just carry on with conversations and kind of like, go home one after each other. And
And then the last person, like the person who lives farther off, like when everybody leaves and they still, because I know a lady that was like, she would take a bus, like right where, the last person leaves, and then, because she has to pay less, because she's walked miles to get there, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cut the journey
Yeah,
short
cut the
with
journey
you
short.
guys.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was safe.
But it was pretty safe.
I don't,
really.
my mom can talk about stories like that
In her days.
In her days, but the time when I was born, I think there was already some people that were.
Well, you were born in the 90s too.
Right.
Yeah. See, we are the 80s.
Yeah, by the time I was born, it was like a little bit of bad people, and so I think that's why my parents were very strict. Like, and so I also went to a school where, like Ashley was saying, like predominantly white school.
Okay.
Where even though I didn't live in a predominantly, did you live in a predominantly white area?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And went to the same school. So
Yeah.
I wasn't. So I would know of all the criminal activity that can go on in society, but I would never see it. Then I'll go to school and it's like perfectionist. I need to be like an overachiever. I was in like sports, like academics, and even though my parents were not educated as much as like other people were, but my parents, like, I don't know, it was just the grace of God because they were able to afford for me to get there, even though they didn't have special jobs. But they're able to make sure that they provided the best, and I've seen that in my life.
We've all talked about how we grew up, right? So does our upbringing affect the way we are parenting now? Do we face any challenges? Because you know how sometimes you want to change certain things about how you were raised, right, with your kids. So how is that going? I'll start with you, Ashley.
So my parents, they would discipline me and my siblings.
They did or did not?
They would.
They did.
But it wouldn't be a frequent thing. Mm-hmm. Eventually, at a certain point,
They stopped.
there's no point. Like, you have other things that you can use as consequences for your actions. So, like,
Did they do that?
I would say we would be grounded, no TV. Like, I remember one time, I don't remember exactly what I did, but my dad, he's like a jack of all trades. So pretty much he took my TV in my room and cut the cord, the actual like plug, like the end of the cord plug. And it sat in my room for like at least a month. And then I don't know exactly what I did. I just can't remember. But I remember that he reattached the cord.
He fixed it.
Because he's a sweet guy. Your dad is so sweet.
It's like, I'm going to break it and then fix it.
It's bad.
So pretty much they do like a hard
So that was
hammer at
late-
first.
That was later
And
on.
then they're like, okay, time has gone by. Okay, I'm done with it. Okay, you learned your lesson, and we move on. So pretty much when it comes to my kids, I will admit that unfortunately I have disciplined them in that fashion. However,
Good for you.
I have stopped for a majority of the times. But there are those moments where,
Nothing else works.
nothing else works.
And in those moments, what do you do?
In those moments where it doesn't work,
Nothing else.
I would take phone, no TV, can't go outside and play with neighborhood kids, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, I think I was raised with a lot of disciplining, even till high school. I remember I was still getting disciplined the traditional way, like the go fetch a stick
wow.
outside. I was disciplined in the traditional way. Like, this is Africa, man. They don't know about soft parenting.
Belt. I would say belt.
Yeah,
for me.
belt. Yeah, that's what I mean. But
Belt.
you know, so whatever it is, and it wasn't to a point where it's like abusive. It would just be like, you know. And my mom was the only one who would discipline me, even if I got into trouble. And my dad was the one who was trying to discipline me. He would just be like, you know what, I don't like, my dad doesn't talk that much. He's the kind one. So he would just be like, you'll have to have a talk with your mom. Then when my mom comes, she can talk. It'll be like, doop, doop, and then you're good to go. And then you go cry it out, and then it's fine.
Yep.
And so raising my kids, unfortunately, even though I'm in America, like I that's what I knew as discipline. So I started. So with my eldest, like I would be like, what did I used to do when she was a kid? I think I used to go like on her finger, like, and guess what? And then guess what I would call it? Then I first I called it a whipping. I would be like, don't do that. So then I called it a whipping. But then I talked to my friend and she's like, Quasi, don't call it a whipping anymore, because a whipping in America is like completely different. Like she'll go to school and say, my mommy gave me a whipping, and people will be out for you. Like, so so then, and that's not really even me. I'm more of an educator. Like and I think I get that from my dad. He was the one who was like that. He was like, he'll have a conversation with me. So I will reason, not in terms of like, oh, it's a negotiation, but I'm trying to make you understand the repercussions and what happens. And I think because of the way I think, I know my children also think that way. Like, it's not just like, oh, we can't go to Stella's house. Oh, why did I use a name? One of my kids' first name. You can't go to Stella's house. Why? Okay, because I haven't met her mom and dad. I haven't sat down with them enough for me to let you go and sleep over. Like, you know, you know that thing of sleeping over. Yeah. And my daughter was like, oh, but we've already slept over at so-and-so's house. Yeah, but I have to feel okay with it. It came to a point where I was like, I have to feel okay with it. Because if something happens in the middle of night at Stella's house, like, what am I going to do? You know, what if somebody takes you out? That's the kind of, you know, conversation. What if somebody comes in and just takes you by yourself? Like, I have to feel comfortable. I have to let it go. So, you know, me as a parent here in America, I think it's always about educating my kids on what I feel like is, you know, also like giving them a general understanding of why I'm doing this. And then also trying to, I don't do the okay, I did take the gadgets away, like, but that's completely, I took that completely. That's not for discipline. That's like, no, we're not doing this right now. What is that for? It's more, I feel like they don't have time for it. And I pick them up from school. They don't have to, I don't need a phone for them. I think it was my husband, you know, he has a cell phone business. So they had access to phones because you don't want the kids to be on your phone when you're on the phone. So they had access to phones. But now that they're getting to like 10, 11, I was like, you know, can we just pause? Like, you guys don't really need phones. Right now. You don't need phones. It's not a matter of like a discipline. It's just like you don't need phones. It's part of discipline though.
You realizing that they don't necessarily have to have phones. I think that's part of discipline.
Yeah, it is. But in my way, that makes it makes it not like I'm rationalizing with them.
You're trying to rationalize it to be something else. Okay.
Yeah, but that's yeah.
Okay. What about you, Casey?
So it's funny how you talk about sleepover, because that's not even a question in my household, honey. Don't ask, because it's not happening. It's never happened. It's not happening. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. Yeah. But then, you know, with respect to discipline, physical was very common back in the day
Yes.
when I grew up. Even the school system was up for it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, wow.
just for being dumb, they'll beat you. Just for not
yes.
knowing a question, just for not knowing an answer to a question,
wow.
you got whoopings for it. So it's not about even you being bad. You could be the best kid on the block.
But it's your day today.
Yeah, just
That
just
get-
because you
yeah.
got they did some kind of test and you got an answer wrong, you get a whoopings. Yes.
So how do you do it now?
How do I do it now? Well, I started that and it didn't. I feel like 90% of the time I'm hurting myself because I'm doing it with my hand and my hand is hurting. Like Jason, I'm like, no, I can't beat you anymore. no.
That hand hurts. I feel you.
So I'm not even doing that anymore. Because I feel like if I'm going to do that, I need something more than my hand.
And then now you're going to get into trouble.
That's just too much. So I don't do that anymore. But with regards to discipline,
So what do
normally,
you do?
like Karen is very laid back. She's kind of like my kind of, like her demeanor is kind of like mine. I was a very quiet kid growing up. She's that type too. Like she's the type that you could talk to and have no problem. She's never really given me any troubles. But even so, every kid, they're just kids. So with her, you could talk to her and you can be rest assured. Jaden is this. Well, I'm saying the name of my kids. Some of them are like that. But the oldest and the youngest, them, I feel like
You just tell them and then they're
I
like,
can even get through to them. But the two middle ones, they're very they're very receptive to just listening to me and just doing what I want basically.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, the that and
The
that.
top and bottom.
Listen, but
The top
not
slice
working.
and the bottom slice of the bread.
the
I can never
talking
get
doesn't
through
work.
to them. But their dad does a really good job. I normally just hand him over, but then
How does he do it? He's just very serious.
just by doing
Yes, I was about to say. What is your
right. I think he I don't know.
They just they're scared.
Because
They're
I feel like
ridiculously
I'm like the laid back parents, so to speak. So they probably got used to me, and they're like, you
all
just
laid
playing.
back. Yeah, you playing with me.
Like, when I say something, they feel like I'm just playing with them. But yeah, I've taken their phones too a couple of times. The iPads and not watching TV really is not a problem because they don't really like to watch TV anyways. But mostly their gadgets, and then just hand them off to their dad because I'm tired. No, I'm not doing the physical touch anymore.
Like, let daddy handle it.
Yeah, the physical touch once in a while, the little one. But yeah, that's
And it's not even that much like
just that little thing. And then
little tough.
she's gonna talk about it for the next 5 business days about. So I just
The kids talk about it.
that you
And they gossip about you.
But I feel like I do more yelling, like when I get upset with the kids, and then I regret it. Like right after, I'm like, why am I yelling? Like, why am I raising my voice? Because then
and we only
they're gonna-
regret it because of what we know now that it's
Right.
actually in long term it's not good for them. We own
It's good. It's good. Why is it not good? Because they yelled at us and it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we are fine.
Exactly.
We don't have any trauma or anything.
No, yeah, we do.
No. So that's the thing, right? Okay, you finish yours. Because for us, we turned out okay, right?
Yeah, we did.
I mean, we do have the regrets, but then let's not baby them like, has long term. What effects?
Yeah.
Like I am, I'm fine.
It's just fine. Yeah.
There's never times that my mom had to yell at me. I turned out okay.
It does. I know. I mean, they are still making studies until this day.
Yeah.
So
Listen.
so as of now, they've made
that's-
studies and they say that it's not necessarily because it's a lot of not all children where it works.
But as a parent, okay, so I'm going to talk about mine. But as a parent, you know your children, right? So for me, growing up, as I told you, my mom was a teacher and my dad was not around, right? He had passed on. So for my mom, now that I'm a mother, I can understand her frustration, right? It's like, there was for me, my kids, like sometimes like when I cannot get through to, I'm like, well, but then their dad, they say that they do have a yes dad and a no mom because I'm like, I guess I'm stricter, but Danny has his way too. But the only person that Ed, he fears his dad. Like he doesn't want to get into, the wrong, he always wants to be on good terms. So when I say I'm going to tell daddy, but I'm always yelling. That's how I was raised, right? Maybe I don't want to do that, right? But then it brings up a point where, there's sometimes, you yell too. Yeah, but listen.
Yeah,
I can even imagine you yelling.
Ooh, I'm the yeller.
You're so sweet.
I need your husband to record.
I know.
We all need footage.
Ooh,
I
I'm the
can even
yeller.
imagine that.
Okay,
I'm working on it. Just like Quasi said, it the long-term effects.
Yeah.
I'm
It's the
really
long-term
trying.
effects.
And then
That's
I
awesome.
regret it right after.
No, but then,
Why?
no. So when you talk about long-term effects, right? Sometimes the kids you have to discipline them.
Yes.
Because and every child is different.
don't hear.
Yeah.
Now, like somebody like Frida, right? When I yell at Frida, I kind of feel bad because of her personality.
rational,
She does not like. She's the type that you can talk.
Yeah.
You can understand.
Ever since she was little, she's
Yeah,
been
me
like
too,
that.
I
She
imagine.
would, and then she doesn't want to upset you. She knows they all know how I am when I get upset, so she doesn't, right?
Yeah.
But then Danielle, she's very like. I don't mind, like, let me test, she's testing,
Right.
like, but mommy, but
like-
like, she's always like, but what if, she wants to understand, she wants you to talk to her, right?
Right.
But I'm like, right now, I can't talk, right? You did this, and I'm like, let's talk at a different time, right? So every child is different. You just, like, if I can talk to Frida, she's fine. But maybe Danielle have to yell.
Yeah.
I have to, like, let her know, and then, sometimes she'll come to me and then she'll
Morgan.
talk. And then she's like, okay, I didn't appreciate you. We talk, right? We have those moments. The last time we were talking about, sometimes I have to switch between being an American mom and a Ghanaian mom.
You do.
The American mom is like, oh my God, But then sometimes I have to bring the African mom in, like, listen, we're not playing. I am not
where it's
playing,
at
right?
today. That's where
And
it's at.
I mean, the number of times my mom yelled at me, but I think it was all for my good. And then I always, at the end of the day, I let them know it's for your own good, right?
But there's a different type of yelling, and I think that's the one that the psychologist kind of like.
I think all yelling is. I think all yelling is the same.
Listen to this one, Sandra. Oh, you stupid child. Oh, you good for
Oh no, but that's not yelling.
verbal
That's
abuse?
insulting.
You mean verbal abuse?
But they do it.
No, that's not how we were raised.
Not that type.
But then that's why they say the yelling is not good.
That's verbal abuse.
That's verbal abuse.
Yeah.
But the
Maybe let
African
me tone it
yelling
down.
is like
like-
yelling is like you need to stop
Yeah,
it
you
now.
need to stop. Like right now,
Exactly.
like
Exactly.
with my voice.
That's
through
what
the
we're
ceiling,
talking
like,
about.
You can hear me from the next. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That.
But but sometimes maybe I know of like grandmas, they'll be like, "Are you crazy? Why would you do that?"
No, but our
I've
parents
seen-
didn't do that. Though.
seen
But my
I've
mom
seen
never
a
used words
Ghanaian-
like crazy or stuff.
I've seen Ghanaian ladies. That's
Not
how
mine. Not mine. My mom is like that. You need to stop it, or else stop
Are
that
you
kind of
crazy?
thing.
Yeah.
Are you don't think? You don't have a brain? That type of yelling. Because I
No,
mean,
but that's
when
not
you're
even
mad-
yelling though. That's like you.
That's
like,
you
But that's what they.
abusing them.
That's a
verbally.
verbal
That's like
abuse.
berating.
But
Yeah.
that's what.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
But that's
We're-
that's
We're
the type
talking
of
about like raising your voice,
Raising your voice. That's what we call yelling. That's what.
talking on top of like I don't know.
On
Like,
top of your voice.
I know what you mean because I do it too. Like Maddie, come on, hurry up, let's get out the house.
No, it's not. Come on, hurry up. That one is not yelling.
when they're upset.
So I went from the extreme. There's an extreme, and there's like
what is so
which one
annoying?
is that?
Then you be like, so your throat is hurt.
You can feel your throat itching. You're like, hey.
I don't get it. Then.
You don't get it.
Then I know that
Then your throat, you yell at it.
Your throat will be itchy. You feel like you're drinking water. Why was I yelling?
That one.
Okay, give
that
me an example, maybe.
Like, let's say.
Because I'm thinking of an extreme one, and then
Let's say I tell you to, like, it's a Saturday. I tell you, you guys should, like, sort out your clothes and start doing the laundry. I come 2 hours later, I haven't seen that.
That's like
I told you to do laundry.
Yeah.
And then you're talking and then you're screaming because you're mad that they didn't do what they did. But not like using
But it was the
80
same one that I was like, hurry up. It's like a hurry
Hurry up
up.
and stop.
No. I'm just saying, it's that type. Like, why haven't you guys cleaned
As
your
long as
room?
you're yelling, that's what we are talking about. But,
Oh, you're like on a phone call. You've already told them, keep quiet. I'm on an important phone. And then
Exactly.
one person can say, you're done. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Like what?
that is, you're right.
Yeah.
And then, that is so true. That one,
Especially working from home and then
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
boss is on the phone. Like, what are we doing?
That one can be very annoying.
Okay.
And then they hear the child in the
You're on a
background.
video
like,
call, people. I'm on a video call. That's when somebody will come and study.
And they even want to see. They want to see.
Anyways.
So the combination of African mom,
I'm always like I always have to like switch between like decide when to be an American mom. But the difference is like like the Ghanaian mom, the African mom is always yelling, right? And then the American mom wants to understand where you're coming from, right? Yeah. So like, I mean, I didn't grow up here, right? What do you think? Isn't that the American? Well, yeah, I'm actually it's American. So
I say if you're black.
Oh, black. Okay.
The soft parenting is a little.
It's everybody's challenge.
No, but she's saying
it's not really going to happen.
Okay. So that's more
but the
like
other color.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's more of a thing.
Yeah.
You're all getting westernized.
And then I tried that. Oh no,
it doesn't work.
That was for the birds. No,
I read a book. No. I was reading a book.
That
it was
help.
called "Stop Yelling, Mom."
Yeah, I read that book too.
Yeah.
But listen, I'm telling you,
it's like, how do I stop?
Yeah. But so the thing is, like, we don't really know, like. We don't really know which one is
the best.
Is the best.
That's what I mean.
I feel like a little yelling here and there is not going to cause any effect, really.
It's not because you have to look at your life. Like
you're here to call them out on their stuff. Not acknowledge it.
Yeah. I mean, if in your case where you're talking about the verbal abuse, where it's demeaning them, like it's making them feel less of them. So that's different. But me yelling at you to do what I told you to do 2 hours ago, I think that's justified. It's just like I have to always, that's what I'm saying. There's a point in time where I talk to them, let them know. Because if you talk to, the last time we had a talk show with them, and then Frida was like, well, I think I need a little bit of both, because there are times where you can't leave me to do what I want. I need you. Like, she expects me to be the mom, so she's fine with it. And she knows, as long as she knows that I'm doing it because I love her, and I want the best for her, because very soon she'll be off to college and then she has to make her own decision, informed decision. Right. But it's like, what have I taught you over the years? So.
Yeah, that's true.
That's so important to make sure that we give them the right skills on how to, like we were talking about at the beginning, like how to handle things on their own when it comes to that time. Because I feel like if we do too much, if we do it too much, then they won't be able to do it. They'll still, I mean, it's okay to still call me if you need advice. I'd much rather that. Like, I think that's my parents, they were like so strict on me and so sheltered when I was younger. But when I became like 18, is after I left home, they kind of just like left me. Like, and I really wish that they didn't stop. They didn't stop.
Sheltering you?
No, not sheltering me, but like still giving me the same. It's like they went from 100 to
no, that's
0.
not possible, because when you grow up, and even with me, like even with my mom, I remember like when I went to college, she was like, after that point, we became like siblings, where she's like, she even wants before she does something, she will ask me, right? Because at that point, and I think it's in psychology, at that point, the child's brain, she's already an adult, right. She's making it, because when you go to college, it's what I want is what I'm going to do.
But I think it's more so of them, it's more so of having, I think because she was so strict that at the beginning of that relationship, I couldn't see her as a friend.
Oh,
so then I still needed her to come and give me those advice that you were giving me, like, not necessarily what to do, but what's another way of doing this? You get what I'm saying? Like,
right. You feel like she was too strict, so like you couldn't.
She was so strict that I got everything from you. And then when I left, it's kind of like she just like stopped. Like, okay, now you're an adult. Now you can make decisions.
Can be on your own.
Then I'm like, no, I still don't know. Like, looking back, of course, I made decisions at that time. I wouldn't be here if I didn't make decisions. But I made decisions. But I didn't have anybody to talk to that would give me like, is that our kids?
If it was just my life,
it's our kids. And I have that thing, and I wish that she hadn't stopped. And for me as a mom, I'll continue. I think I'll continue.
Yeah, I think
being even when my daughter is like 20, I'll say, hey, this way. I'm happy that you're doing it this way, but there's also this way. Just saying that you can either take it or not. There's another way of doing it this way. And
I think before you get to that point, though, you need to build a relationship. Like you need to, before you get to a point where you start suggesting things for them, you need to first accept the things that they're doing, right?
Yes.
That's the phase that's the phase that opens up, because they feel like, oh, my mom trusts me to do this, right? There's a phase after, the strict and all, that balancing where you let them do their own thing. Because I was talking to an older couple, and we were talking, and then I was like, yo, middle school is hard, because like when they get there, they don't really listen to you. And then they were like, yeah, because at that time you need to let them do whatever they want. I was like, let them do whatever. And then he was like, yeah, if you want them to, because when they do whatever they want, that's where they figure out that, oh, there are some things that I would need my parents' advice on, right? So you shelter them, you leave them, and then they come back, so it's like a phase.
Yeah.
But until you let them decide and then be their own individuals, then it's like they're always going to feel like, oh, my mom is always telling me what to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. And that's why I was saying, for me, I would say I would hear them on what they want to do, right? I'd first hear them and then be like, oh, there's another way that you can do this. So yeah, I definitely want to have that type of relationship. I don't want it to be like, oh, I'm always telling them what to do. I wanted to.
Or when they're little, you have to, because they don't know.
Yeah, when they're little, you have to.
Yeah.
That's when you're going to trust them to make a better decision when they grow up.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true.
So what are the challenges?
The challenges.
I think social
The
media.
friends at school too.
Oh, friends
yeah,
at school.
the friends.
And then, the funny thing is that
friends.
these friends too, they have friends who have different backgrounds than they do. They have friends who have different backgrounds, and then, they're talking, saying things that are different, than what they hear at home. Yeah, I think that, and then social media, of course.
The friends that present themselves to the world in a way that is not conducive with your household.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would say that that's really a challenge, because my daughter can pick out like this baggy t-shirt, not ironed, things like that. Like I try to I want her to express herself, but I don't want her going out looking like she's like for the streets. So like some of her friends are at the bus stop with bonnets in their head and Crocs. I'm like, Crocs are okay, but if you have pajama bottoms, a bonnet on your head, hello.
And they feel like everybody else is doing it, and so it's okay for them to.
Exactly.
Yeah. Friends are definitely a challenge. And
That's so true. That's so true.
And also, I don't have this problem with my oldest, but my youngest daughter, she's more so, I think what I fear for her, I don't know if that was the question, challenges or fear.
Yeah, challenges.
But for me, it is a challenge for me, because she wants to please her friends. She wants to be the class clown. She wants to be the, I don't know.
The it girl?
Not the it girl. Just she just wants to be something more and it's fine.
She want to fit in.
She wants to fit in. And I'm worried that that's fine now. She's in elementary school. But how's that going to play out
in middle school?
In middle school. Then, she will that, that's just a challenge for me. Her wanting to just please her friends so much. And I'm like, I want you to be more mindful of how it makes you feel, not how your friends will look at you. But right now she just wants to be the class clown. I'm just like,
yeah. I think it's a stage.
Yeah.
That's what you want with your life.
One of the challenges that I have too, the questions that they come home with, especially Jason. Jason talks about everything with me. Like when I pick up him for school, like it's like questions after the other. From, are you ever gonna cheat on daddy? I'm like, oh, why would I do that? It's like, oh, because this friend, and then he mentions the name. Oh, his dad came from work and found his mom cheating, and now he beat him and he's in jail. And I'm like, how do somebody's in jail? Somebody is in jail because they caught the partner and then they beat him, and now the father's in jail. But then that's one of his friends in school. And then it's like
they talk about it a lot.
And then the exposure, and they asking me if I'm going to cheat on his dad, and at this point I'm like, I just picked you up from school. I don't have any words for this. Like
I'm tired.
Can I?
What about? And then they talk about the divorce. Are you guys ever going to get divorced?
Listen,
do they?
Listen.
Oh yeah,
yes.
they do.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Because
I've never had that
class.
question.
Me neither.
No.
No, because
neither.
in their class,
There's a lot
of people are divorced, right?
Divorced.
So and then like some of them, it's like the parents are like, they're not together.
Me too. And that's what I was
get
going to
that
say. I've never had the question, but they'll tell me, they'll be like, oh yeah, so-and-so's mom lives in the room upstairs and her dad lives in the basement.
Oh
or whatever the
yeah,
case might
that's
be.
that too.
Or like,
Interesting.
and they're so okay with it. And I'm
But they
just
don't
like,
ask questions like, are you guys
No.
ever? Oh yeah, I had that question. Like, are you guys ever going to get divorced?
that's so
I guess
funny.
we live in the
They've never done that.
Love the quotes, but why?
Never.
I'm gonna guess what I'm
I've
gonna
never
ask
had
them
that
on my way. I'm gonna be like, gee, I don't know. Because maybe they fear, maybe they're
they don't
scared.
voice it.
Maybe
Yeah.
they're scared of something they don't like. Sometimes
Right.
when kids are,
Right. What
are
is
scared of
something
something, if
yeah.
something like that happens,
Yeah.
and maybe, but I want them to also have the freedom
To ask you.
it.
Yeah. And I like that. I actually enjoy that. But sometimes I just don't have the answers. Like, I'm grateful you're asking me because you're opening up to me, but I'm like, I don't know. Well, no. I don't know why anybody's
one time they asked me, right? And then I was like, well, no, but then, then Danny came in and I was like, just say no. And then, just say no. I'm like, well, yeah, no. You're not. And then, and then you try to bring that God factor. God, like, mommy, just answer that.
Yeah,
But
it's crazy
it's
how
challenging.
society is that all the challenges. What about your challenges?
Oh, my challenges. I think it's every stage, right? Every stage has its own challenges. As they, because I realized that in middle school, right now that my oldest is in middle school, the challenges that come with being in middle school, that she. Just like you mentioned, is the friends, is what people are doing at school. It's like, I don't want you wearing this, but I want to wear this because it makes me look cool because, other kids are wearing it. And those things, I feel like it's a stage. Every stage has its own challenges. Right now, it's my word versus, what kids at school think is cool, right? And then you're being like the old school mom, sort of thing. So recently, my oldest, her friend had a birthday. She also turned 13. She had a movie night. I dropped her. I didn't have any problem with it. And then she had a sleepover at a hotel, mind you. I was like, I'm not comfortable with that because first of all, I mean, I know your friend, but I don't know her parents that much. I don't do sleepovers, right? But I mean, I'm not even, and I was like, even for your friends that you've known since childhood, Maddie, Savvy, that you guys like were typically like, you haven't done that, right? This person, I don't know the parents. I'm not comfortable. And it's at a hotel. I'm not there. If something happens, So I go pick her up, and then it's like all the friends are looking at me like, I'm like, girl, let's go. Like, I wasn't bothered a bit. I was like,
I don't care about you.
You're lucky you went for the popcorn movie
I'm
night.
like, next time you're not even going to that hotel. Like, what mother will allow her 13? I don't know. But she had it at the hotel. So it's like, so in her mind, she's like, my mom
nowadays,
is strict. Right?
Oh, really? Hotel?
It is, yes. That's they do little tents in a hotel.
I guess I'm old school.
Listen, I'm not comfortable with that. And I'm like, period. We're done with at the end of discussion, right?
Yeah.
But then at this stage, she's thinking, other people's moms allow their kids, so in her mind, she's thinking, but I'm like, it's for when you grow up, you're going to appreciate me, for doing that. Yeah. And then, what other challenges? It's just like every stage, like things that you say, they just like take forever to get it done. And you're like, really, people?
Yep.
But I think so far, it's okay.
I mean, with my oldest right now, he wants to play everything: basketball, football, everything. And I'm like,
And you have to,
it costs money.
You have to pay for all of these.
You have to pay for all of this. It's like that.
And it's time for equipment too.
Tomorrow he's starting basketball, but now he's talking about going, soccer camp.
I love it.
Football. And I'm like,
but it's also good for I must say through sports, I think.
But it's time consuming for parents, because Ed is in soccer, and it's like sometimes
I wish back home. I don't know about you in Ghana, but in South Africa, like you actually in school. Like from elementary school, you were able to play all the sports. Like according to especially private schools, like I was able to play swimming, do all of the track, gymnastics, ballet, everything was in the school. So but I do think that giving our children the opportunity to try those little sports, even if it's for a season, as long as you can afford it, you should let them, because
it's not even the afford. My thing is the time,
right? And it allows them to discover something about themselves that they wouldn't discover anywhere else.
And teamwork and all that.
Yeah. Not only that,
way,
themselves too.
And patience.
Yeah, patience too. Yeah,
but it can get challenging for the parents too, because I'm telling you, it's time consuming. Like two times a week. That's just for one child. One child, yeah. And then 3 times, because every Saturday morning they have a game. And it's like sometimes you can't make it to all these.
You just want to sleep in on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
9:00.
Yeah. Yeah.
You went to a fancy school, because where I went to school in Ghana,
She said you went to a fancy school.
listen, I mean, we did track. Everyone else, you could do track if you want, but there wasn't any swimming. Did you have that growing up?
No, I just had volleyball. They had sports. I had volleyball.
Yeah.
And my school, so we had a branch in Dansman, we had a branch in Bubuashi, in Accra, and then another one in a different city. So the schools will compete against each other. I think that was pretty. That was the only pretty cool thing I did. So I would go to volleyball. We go play volley. Yeah, do that. That's cool.
I did a lot of sports back then. It was because of that opportunity, I was able to do sports nationally, netball, and then also the swimming.
Yeah, it was a fancy school then.
Yeah. But because of that, I think it's good. It's good to let him, as long as you can do it.
It is, yeah.
If he tries a different sport and he quits and then he tries something else, it's okay. Yeah. He's going to discover something about himself from each of those, and eventually, and then the ability to.
You're like the American mom, because where I grew up,
no. You see, I'm a mixer.
Growing up,
I'm not.
The community that I grew up with, everybody plays soccer with everybody. Okay,
yeah, what's the structured one?
Saturday morning, you're playing soccer, you're playing basketball. After school, everybody's together doing whatever they got to do. It's not formal, but then at least you have some sports going on, and it's for free. Because you because we know each other. We all growing up together. Everybody knows each other. They just come to your house, call you. You want to play? Oh yeah, and then they started recruiting people. Right. By the time they have 14 people. They're playing sport.
Yeah, that was definitely
it's really nothing formal.
Yeah.
Because like I said, everybody trusts everybody. You're not gonna kidnap my kid. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you have the chance to go, play with your friend, whatever you want to do. Come home in one piece. You probably have a little bruises and scrapes here and there, but that's fine. You're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
That's just how
it's not here, but we don't have
it's different.
You got to outsource. I don't like it. I don't like that we have to outsource so much. Yeah. But I think it is important in a child's development.
I think so too, and I feel like it makes them more organized. Yeah. That's what I think of, because I was also thinking of signing the girls up for swimming, because Anne Arundel. But the only thing, that's the thing. My thing is not even about the cost or anything, but it's the time. Because Anne Arundel County, they have these programs, but you have to drive all the way to Annapolis for that. After work, and you have to sometimes
you have to be. You have to be.
And then you have 3 kids. It's you go in here, you come in here.
We definitely end up as parents, we end up committing ourselves to their stuff more than stuff for ourselves.
Yeah, that's the
Right,
thing
right.
too. Because
Yeah.
as a mom, you also have to like do. At the end of the
Yes,
day, you have to be your own
stuff for
individual,
yourself.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, because you end up running around for everybody. It's like, what about me? And then you feel so empty.
And that's what happens, right, Ashley?
Yes.
Do you feel like here in America, like people? I feel like because when you go to these, when you go to gymnastics or you go to a swim team, like my kids do swim or gymnastics or whatever. You get there and people are taking their kids,
Yeah.
but it's like, and they're so committed.
Yeah,
Right.
the commitment.
But it's like,
And
do y'all
sometimes
have a
they take
life?
it a little bit too serious.
And they do.
Listen.
I'm
So
like,
serious.
do y'all
Like,
have a
listen.
life?
like,
It's sick.
what is the problem?
You know why they take it seriously?
Why?
Because that's their life now.
See, that's the thing.
That's
As a
their
mom, you
lifestyle.
also have to have your
You
own. Like,
can't-
I need my own thing going on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because you're working, after work, you have to take the kids.
Yep.
What time do I get to, like, maybe
You
like if I
don't.
want to
Yeah.
read or if I
Yeah.
want to do something, like,
Exactly.
and then it's like every day.
And that goes to explain why depression is one of the
Yes,
most common,
yes, yes.
'Cause they don't do
diseases in
anything for
America. Because I
themselves.
feel like a lot of moms too, they neglect themselves just to be there for their
Absolutely,
kids.
absolutely.
And it's like, how can you pour from an empty cup if
Yeah.
you don't have like
Yeah,
a
you
lot
keep
going on for
pouring.
you?
Yeah.
Like you're not taking care of yourself. Like how are you gonna take care of your kids?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
they
and-
end up being on medications and all of that. They're depressed. Like I'm not gonna compete with the other mom because she's doing everything she's supposed to.
No,
That's
you have to
fine.
be you.
I'm just gonna.
No,
I'm
you
just-
can't. You can't
Really be yourself. But you know what? See, the thing, I think, like, to that point, right? You're like, it's not even just for the kids. And then, like, you have to also be there for your husband, It's like, so at the end of the day, it's like,
I forgot that part.
Yeah, we forgot.
at the end of the day, it's like, come on, people. Like, what about what I want?
I almost forgot I was
Your
a wife
currency.
too. Yep.
Yeah, it's like a whole lot that
Right,
we have
right.
to do as moms.
What happened?
Yeah, it's
I didn't catch what Ashley.
you didn't catch what I said.
I said,
Oh, wait, when you
your
missed that one?
currency.
Oh,
Your currency.
You what?
the currency.
The currency.
Like value, right?
Yep. I almost forgot that part. Yes, that too.
Yeah. But
it-
I
it-
think you know what? It's yeah, you're right. So to think about the
Yeah.
depression, right? It's because like you have growing up, you have a goal that you want to attain, right? And then you start having kids, and then it's like, okay, sometimes you have to let go of these dreams. So, and most women, which is, I think that most women, they don't come back to that goal.
Yes.
Most
Yeah.
women miss the goal. Like, okay, I
Because
want to be here because they get
It
sidetracked.
gets so because Sandra, I think it's because that incline where you are giving your all to the kids. I think you eventually lose yourself.
You do. You do.
You lose yourself.
You
So
do.
then there's no way. Because like recently, I talked to one of my husband's cousins, and I was like, because I can see that she's at that max where like she's forgotten about herself.
Yeah.
Forgotten
Forgotten
herself.
about
and I'm
where
trying
she wanted
to bring
to
it back.
be.
I'm like, what do you like to do? Like, what did you like to do? She's like, I don't even know.
Wow.
I was like, okay, like, can you drop off the kids? Like, when we're talking about quality time, it's her not like going to pick up the kids an hour later just so that she could do grocery shopping. She thinks that's her free time.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, that's
that's
your
not
free
doing
time.
something for you.
I'm like, what did you used to do? Did you used to read? Did you used to listen to music?
Or
She
walk?
can't even,
Just
she
like-
can't
she
even
can't
remember.
remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm a firm believer of, sometimes you have to let go of your dreams so your kids can have one.
Yeah,
But then it's
we
like,
do.
where do you draw the line?
Where do you draw the line?
I've learned to appreciate, like, the little acts of self-care, like, even going out to get my toenails done,
Yeah.
going out to get my eyebrows. Even if it's like 10 minutes that I'm going to drive
Yeah.
off, leave them kids home and just go do something for myself.
Yeah,
Go
but it's hard
window
to do
shopping.
it.
But
But it's
Yeah.
hard to do it when you're trying to make
Yeah.
sure that the house is clean.
Well, so
the
it's
clothes
not.
are
You-
washed,
you really have to be
that-
intentional.
that
It's
you're
intentionality.
doing-
That's
really
what
have
I
to
was.
be intentional
That's what I was
about
it.
going to
Yeah.
say.
Even if it's
You
like
do, but it's hard
one
to
day.
do.
It's not hard to do.
I mean,
Let me give
if
you an
you're intentional
example.
about it, it won't be so hard.
Let me give you an
don't know.
example. So, like
You know.
before, right? In the morning, my morning routine, I get the kids ready. And the elementary school kids, they go before middle school. So when I'm done at 8 o'clock, Danielle and Ed have gone to school. That 1 hour before Frida goes, I clean the house. Guess what? I was like, no, I need to change my routine. So that 1 hour I have, I'm not cleaning the house. I'm exercising. I'm doing something for me. how is that hard? It's like it's all about mindset.
Your
It's
mindset.
all about intentionality. Telling yourself, okay, let me look at my time, my day, and it's possible.
Yeah,
You just have
yeah.
to change your routine.
Yeah.
You just have to change it. I just changed my routine. I can clean the house later in the day, or when I wait when the kids come back, we all clean it together. How about that? Because I'm not
Yeah.
getting tired all by myself.
Right, right.
But it's like sometimes we get so worked up that
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah. Even if it means, drawing up like a little timeline for everything and then fitting something that you love to do for yourself in there. And when that time comes, even if it's like from 11 to 12, you're just focusing on yourself. Something little. It doesn't have to be, extravagant or something that's going to take too much of your time. Just little, even if it's a nap.
Yeah.
Just take that nap.
Yeah.
Nobody's
Or it could be like
nobody's
a
going to
little
die.
Mini facial and
Right.
yeah.
throw a
You
mask
like
on your
facials?
face, close your eyes on the bed.
Yes, she does.
Yes.
She loves. She just told us she does an hour. She does an
Every
hour
day?
routine.
No, I don't.
No hour every day.
No.
But just did you
But
say
every
that
now and then.
But your
Every
skin,
now and
your
then,
skin
like,
probably-
yeah. Yeah, like you
I
do.
just
face mask.
So for me, what I was talking about when I was saying that, it takes a while for you to get that balance as a mother. Like
It
where you
does.
get to a
Yes.
point where you're not pushing everything. You're not so like
Overwhelmed.
not overwhelmed, but like you're not putting all your effort onto your children only. Like it gets to a point, maybe when they start turning like, I don't know, 8 to 10.
No.
Really?
You can do because the reason why I
So
said
you
no
were
is
doing it from the beginning?
when I had Frida and Danielle are close in age, right? Less than I think 23 months or something. When I had Danielle, Frida was little. I had to stay home for 2 years for Danielle to I was at that time I was tired. I was drained. Like I was drained. So at that time I decided I'm going to do something for myself because it's like I'm taking care of everybody except myself. From that time when Danielle was 2 years up until now, I always make sure I go to the shop, get my nails done, get my pedi, take care of my body. It was something that was good for me mentally. That's when I started, right? Because like I was, you have to sit down and ask yourself, why am I so worked up? Why am I so tired all the time? And then what can I do to improve it? Because I felt like I was taking care of everybody and then neglecting myself.
Yeah. And I think for me, it was more like probably it goes back to my mom. Like I saw my mom, she didn't do that. I didn't see my mom going to go and have her nails done. First of all, she didn't have I don't know. She was just all for us. She was all for us. And I think that's something I've inevitably
24/7?
Yes. Only it was Jesus and us.
Oh, wow.
It was just Jesus and us. Like I never saw my mom doing something like.
So when you
for
went
herself.
to school, she wasn't with you anymore.
She was working.
Okay.
She worked
Got back
during
from
that time.
got back from work. She came home and cooked for us. We went to church for prayer. We come back. She gets us ready for the next day, and it repeats the next day.
Yeah, but
And
see, the thing
weekends.
about Africa is different. Africa is different than here. I don't know about you, but then like when we were growing up, as I mentioned, it was only my mom was a single mom. But even though she was a single mom, when she's going somewhere, she can leave us in the house. There were people like in the house, So even though the stress is there, unlike here, when I'm going out and the kids are little, I can't because it's
have
just
to take
you,
them
right?
with you.
So I think here it's a bit different.
Yeah. But see, because of the way that she was, I did it the same way.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I see.
So that's what we were talking at the beginning, like about the challenges that. I think that's even the reason
How
why we're
that
having
affects
it
our
affected me.
parenting.
So it affected me in the way that I became that sacrificial lamb for my children.
I see.
So
at what point did you?
I just realized. I think when I
you
crashed.
just realized?
No, when I got to the point where I was so overwhelmed
Okay.
that I completely lost myself.
Okay.
Then that's when it was like, okay, like I need to remember what do I like to do for myself.
Yeah.
Then I started to reset and now I'm going to the gym at least Monday through Thursday. Now I'm starting to take care of my
Do
skin
things for you.
Like, but at that time, now alopecia is there. Now I've got things that I have to come back because I've already neglected myself for so long.
Right.
Whilst I'm being 100% to them. So I think those are the challenges when it comes to moms. Like maybe do it like Sandra. Like,
No, but
do it
see, for me,
immediately.
no. For me, it was because I also got to a point where I was super tired, like I was drained. You know, maybe you were not like having kids back to back.
My kids were also they also.
I don't know about you, but I'm saying I didn't do it because I knew any better. But I was just at the point where I felt like I needed to do me a little bit, to bring the better mom up, for me to be like a better mom or a better wife. I had to do that.
So I thought that was the better mom, like making sure that I am, like, even if I'm tired, I'm still going.
Yeah.
No, it's not that I thought that was the better mom, but it, you know what I mean?
You're just doing what you knew. That's what you knew.
It's what I know, like, and there wasn't just, that's all it was. But I would say to new moms, like, do it immediately. Like, make sure that you breast pump or whatever the case might be, and then you let the dad take the child, and you go and just do nothing for you or do something for yourself. I think it's really important. I think I didn't. Whilst everybody was like, "Oh, when the baby's sleeping, you sleep." I'm like, "Oh no, that's not the time I clean. That's not the time I'm cooking. That's like yourself." Yeah.
Oh. So let's just conclude, right? We're going to start with you, Ash.
Yes.
So so the conclusion, right? What are your thoughts on for you we
and everything
can't say,
that we discussed.
but what are your thoughts on parenting, and just like I think we were discussing before,
Take it one day at a time. You really need take it one day at a time, and once you get your order of how things can be done, make sure you have time for yourself.
Routine,
Definitely.
Yeah. I can't say it again because that's what I literally just said. So for me, the earlier you do it, like, and also the community, and making sure that you have a community and support, because like for most of us as immigrants, like, we came here and we didn't have a community. So for me, it's a lot of elements that ended up making me become, like, I won't say I was super mom, but because, like, I don't want to be super mom. I don't want to be strong, like, all that strong. I want to use my resources and the people around me perfectly. So I think you definitely don't take it on by yourself. Yeah.
So one of the things that I recently learned about, raising kids in America is to involve them in the chores. And this is very recent because, like, leading up to, in the chores, like even the littlest ones. Because leading up to now, I used to do everything. Well, my mom too, because my mom lived with us. So we used to do everything, really, kind of like babying the kids. I don't let them do dishes. I don't let them sort laundry. I don't let them.
Before?
But now, before. But now this is very recent. Like I said, I'm trying to include them in, So the more we do it together, the more time we're going to get to have fun. Because if I'm the only one doing it, like, I'm going to be, stressed and depressed, and you cannot talk to me when I'm done because, I need to go to bed.
Yeah.
So this is something that I recently picked up, is to include them more and, give them chores and kind of like give them $1 on like Apple Pay for, reward them for doing this and that. And I kind of, they like it. They like the little rewards that go with them helping out. So
I was going to say, do the rewards work? Because, like, I feel like for normal chores, like, I started to do it. I started to get that green card thing to reward them for chores. And then somebody said something to me, and I canceled that.
No, I think it worked.
They said
I think it worked.
They were like, you don't make your children feel like like the things that they're supposed to do is something, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I see
it's
that
something
point.
that you have to do. Cleaning
depends.
your room is something that you have to
no,
do.
cleaning the room does not, right?
Right.
Cleaning room doesn't.
Help me out with dishes that we all contributed to making. It's also not.
So it's not like everyday thing,
Right.
But it's like, once in a while. Like, I'm not, I'm not giving you money like every day for doing the
like
things that
$1
you're supposed
for
to do. Yeah, like $1 for, going the extra mile to do something that, like taking out the trash when I didn't ask you. I'm like, oh, really? You did that?
Yeah, I do that too.
You know what I'm
like
saying?
when they go the extra mile. Yeah,
I reward you for that.
I do.
But if you're supposed to make your bed when you wake up, I'm not going to give you money for making your bed because I wasn't laying in that bed when you... So, that's one of the things that I recently picked up. And it really worked. And my mom traveled to Ghana, so you better help me. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, we're together.
but yeah, I need the extra hands for sure. So that's really good.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because I do that with my kids. Like when they do things, especially when they do things that I haven't asked them to do. Then I just send them some Apple Pay, and then send them a little note say that was a
Thank
great
you.
job.
Yes,
so it's a way to encourage them.
Mm-hmm.
When Ed was little and he could, I would ask Frida and Danielle to like bathe him, and then I'll pay them because like that's not their job, right?
Yeah.
It was a way to like build responsibility, but it was also a way to show them, like if you get things done, I'm going to pay you, and I'm going to, we will drive up to the ATM. I'll get them cash and they'll be all happy in the back and like, oh my God, I got
appreciate
paid.
you for
it was like
helping me.
payday for them. But I think just like we said before, motherhood is all about, I think there's a lot that goes in it. It's all about, finding balance, being structured and finding who you are, never losing who you are. Like in the process, if you have your goals, always have like, I don't know, each one to his own. Like if you have a draw board or like whatever, I like to write mine in like my little journal, but always go back to the basics, who you want to be, who you wanted to be and who you still want to be. And then, I think you'll be a happy mom and then
Everybody will be happy.
And raise
Everybody be
happy,
happy.
children.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate goal, making sure that we raise, healthy and
happy.
and happy.
Yeah.
Children that love God.
And you'll be surprised because the kids, they feel the energy. Like
They
if you're
do,
happy, they know.
Yep.
If you are not happy and you're tired, they know too.
Absolutely.
So you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. That goes a really long way.
Yeah.
We've enjoyed
What was
this
great
talk,
having
y'all.
you all, beautiful moms.
nice.
And the beautiful thing about our relationship is like we've known each other since our kids were little, like and then we've gone in this motherhood journey together.
Yeah.
And God has protected our children, and we are here. It was great having you all.
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
It was a pleasure.
We're done. Peace.